Mrs. Aminat Ajose. Mrs. Aminat Ajose is the STEM consultant for the Science Crew. The Science Crew is a company that deals with everything STEM: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. I will be going into their details when it is time for them to speak. So these are the discussants, and they will be taking us through. They will be taking us through the webinar discussion for today. Okay. Okay, so let's get right into it. We'll be taking the first discussant, Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon, who would be taking us through the topic confronting technology.
Mine was supposed to do it first.
Sorry, okay. Oh. So, okay, the keynote speaker, we'll be taking the keynote address. I didn't know you used around. Okay, we'll be taking the keynote address by Dr. Olushola Ayola. Thank you for joining in, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Habiba, for inviting me. And of course, to all of the organizers, it's my pleasure to be here. I wouldn't be taking too much of your time. I would go straight to the point. The topic, STEM and robotics in the eye of the future. And I believe it's a very timely discussion because we are in a world today where the future seems to be catching up faster than we can even imagine. Many things we thought would only be happening later in the future, funny enough, have started happening. Human beings have started launching expeditions to the moon, to Mars, even trying to get people on vacation to the Mars. And we're also seeing challenges like the World War III and all of the projections coming to almost seeming reality to let us realize that the world that we used to think was still far ahead has caught up with us. COVID-19 recently came up, and we could see the numerous challenges that countries faced with the impossibility of importing items from developed countries. It became a challenge and a responsibility for the so-called third world countries to manufacture or produce what they can survive on. Any country that cannot would probably phase out with time. And in that regard, everyone has to begin to look into the future now. How are we preparing? We don't know what might come. Already the fear of World War III and the possibility of a nuclear war and a biological attack means that what we saw with COVID might become man-made in the nearest future. And we'll have to be looking for ways to protect ourselves where you cannot go out. You have to manufacture your solutions at home. Already, unlike many other countries, in Nigeria, we are lucky. We already know how to manufacture our own power supply at home. We know how to manufacture our own water at home. And so it won't be much of a problem, unlike countries like Germany and UK, where ordinary power outage, they are all crying to the government because they don't know what it means to generate their own at home. So I think we have an edge, but we have to take it further. Now, STEM, as the theme implies, what is STEM? You see, STEM basically refers to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But in actual fact, these are basic constituents of the knowledge required to solve problems in modern society. You know, STEM refers to the kind of knowledge that defies odds, you know, the kind of knowledge to break barriers, to make things that we thought could not be attained to become possible. STEM is about logic, it's about science, it's about facts, but it's about the difference between developed and underdeveloped countries. As a matter of fact, in the past, disciplines like medicine, law, agriculture, and so on were seen as different from STEM. But today, it's becoming a multidisciplinary approach whereby even the lawyers, the doctors, the accountants, all need STEM knowledge. I remember in the past when we were still in secondary school, If you're in science, you do math and further maths. If you're in arts or commercial, if you want to go for law, for example, you will not need mathematics. But it has become a case where the society has realized that every field would need mathematics. But more importantly, computer science, which is a key factor now. Every field is going to need to know more than just how to use Microsoft Office packages. Every field is going to need to learn how to use programming tools like Python and so on, which of course the older generations might find very challenging to catch up with. And so the only thing we can do is to equip the younger ones with these particular skills. And that's why parents need to understand very early in their parenting what skills their children must have. Okay. I'm being asked to show my video, but I wouldn't. All right. Benefits. And I hope people are taking notes. Benefits. The benefits of STEM and why children need to be equipped early in life, as the organizer has already itemized their capacity to learn and so many other advantages that kids have. I must also mention that whenever kids invent anything, it's easy to make that go around the news, go viral, because everyone becomes surprised that a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old invented this. Whereas if you are already 40-something, even if you invent the best, they'll be like, of course, now you have a PhD, so well, that's not surprising. So we need to give our children that edge now that it's still a big issue that can go around and make the news. But let me quickly mention 5 areas that benefit all of us, the society, and even the people themselves. Number 1 is job opportunities. With COVID, we've come to realize many jobs becoming remote more and more often. And that gives, in fact, an advantage to the female children, to the females in our community, to now have the opportunity of working at home and supporting the family without having to step out and face the unnecessary work ethical challenges. So job opportunities are now enhanced with the in the case of STEM related jobs, because you can actually do that from the comfort of your home. For example, jobs like web development, app development, just require you as an expert to get briefings from the clients. And once they can send the relevant documentation of what they want, it only takes a group of a network of experts in that field to work together with a project manager that will also be operating online virtually to get the job delivered. And that kind of opportunity means that you can solve many more problems for different clients without stepping out of your home. In the area of jobs, we have come to realize that in Africa, in Nigeria in particular, jobs are fast getting scarce. And unfortunately, our younger ones are beginning to get desperate. They don't see a hope for them. They don't see a future for them. And we continue to call on the government. Which government? The government is not going to change the hand of time. The way things are changing now, it's more of tech-related jobs. And the government, unfortunately, because they are not investing a lot in this area, they are powerless. They can no longer provide the kind of jobs that we need. They're not in tune with the reality. And if we continue like that, we're going to see security challenges. We're going to see a lot of kidnapping, because that's becoming an easier way out for the younger ones. We're going to be seeing lots of rituals and all of that. But the only way to prevent that as parents, because a society starts, you mold a society from the family to the local government and so on. The best is to give the children that knowledge, first of all, that the future is in STEM, that the future is in tech-related skills, and equip them on how to go about getting these skills. And I'll later talk about how they can get these skills. Agriculture. I was in Jigawa State. I was in Abeokuta as well, to support the federal government's smart farming project. Now, the federal government is trying to adopt Internet of Things solutions that would allow farmers from the comfort of their homes to monitor the soil moisture of their farm. And if they realize that the soil is too dry or so, they can switch on the irrigation system on their farm from the comfort of their mobile phones. Now, that solution is something that government in Nigeria has realized is key if you want to ensure food security, if you want to provide jobs for farmers, because nowadays the younger ones do not think farming is attractive. They think that farming is stressful, and truly it is. But when you automate the process, the aspect of irrigation, the aspect of weeding, the aspect of harvesting, the aspect of inspecting the crops, the aspect of making sure the poultry is in good shape and they're clean and well fed, then it makes it more attractive. It increases the productivity and the efficiency of the farmers. Now, this particular progress can only be made with an advancement of technological solutions in the farming sector. And because in Nigeria, we need to begin to sustain ourselves with food, it means that there can be more jobs created for the techie farmers than, of course, for the manual farmers. Security, we cannot shy away from the fact that it's becoming a perennial challenge right now. We've had insecurity, Boko Haram related, Niger Delta militants related, kidnapping related rituals, and robbery since 2000. Well, I know it's been forever, but at least that we can all agree since 2004 or something like that, when we had the Niger Delta and then the uprising in the Northeast. And over time, it appears upon all the amount of money that has been spent, there is no solution in sight. Government has tried solutions like national insurance identity number and turning off the mobile network in the south, in the northeast, and all sorts of tracking, but still to no avail. But then the reason is because the people who are causing all of these problems are also getting more tech advanced. What it means is that you can only catch up, not when you resign to fate, but when you ensure that almost all those that will be recruited in the society, in the government, in the private sector are tech savvy. And we can only do that by ensuring that they focus a lot more on STEM skills. Logistics, of course, there is no gainsaying that the logistics challenge we have in Nigeria is a big bottleneck when it comes to ease of business, when it comes to traffic, access to healthcare, and so on. So by the time you deploy drones, for example, for delivering parcels across the nation, e-commerce will pick up, buying and selling will be easier and less expensive compared to the use of diesel engines, which is what, for example, has made some of the farm produce to be very expensive coming from the village, and so on. Finally, home management. We cannot rule out the need for improved home management, easier, better power supply management, energy consumption, and so on, which of course STEM, robotics, automation, and all of these data science and co would enhance. So if we agree that all of these opportunities lie around in the future for our children, so that they don't have to be looking for jobs, rather they can create jobs in any of these sectors I've mentioned, what skills do we need to give them and how can we get these skills to them? First of all, let me talk about the various skills and I'll just list them out. Skills in blockchain technology, for example, is critical in dealing with the problem of corruption. I believe you can all agree that even in the banking sector, where we believe they employ the best information security systems, we've had cases of people's accounts being wiped out. Now, that's not surprising, considering that there are so many gateways into the bank account of anybody. They can deduct your money through your mobile phones or through your credit card or through your normal banking app and so on. So many loopholes, which cannot be closed overnight. But with blockchain technology, it becomes very difficult for even the owner might even lose access if he's not careful. That's to tell you that it's possible to secure systems, make them more reliable, improve the efficiency. And that is the future. Your children some of them must know about blockchain, understand what it is, understand how to create it. And of course, cybersecurity is also key as the entire world is becoming data sensitive. We have a lot of data all over and everybody is more concerned about how they can protect it. Because if you don't, then all of the, like we said, blockchain, all of the money you have online, your records and access controls can be, infiltrated. Graphics design. I know in the past it was like a thing of, well, you can't be an artist. Parents will tell their children. But then graphics today, people are earning a lot of money. I don't need to mention NFT, which of course Habiba has already talked about, how people are making a lot of money. At Rain, for example, we had a trainee who was here for 1 year studying robotics. And then she also enhanced her graphics skills. And when she finished, she began to do more on graphics with NFTs. And she has sold up to about 90 million naira worth of graphics. And I'm talking of just arts that people keep buying on NFTs. Now that is an an eye opener for many people who would have thought graphics is a waste of talent. UI UX is what we talk about when we are designing the way a website should look or the way an app should look and all of the various pages it should have. So that is key. Front end, I have only 3 minutes left, so I'll be key. I'll be very quick with that. Front end development has to do with those who develop the interface on the apps and on the websites that are interactive. And that's a skill on its own that requires knowledge in Java, in PHP, JavaScript, and Flutter, and so on and so forth, HTML, CSS. Back-end development. And I'm mentioning all these things because children might ask, they might be confused on what they want to be in future. Most times it's about software engineering, software development, but I'm mentioning the skills that make up these particular professions, which they can choose one out of it, develop themselves and become experts, in society. And I will quickly say that these skills are very short. The world is short of these skills. We don't have surplus of them. And so there are so many jobs for people on this, with this, on this cadre. If you go online on some freelance websites, you'll see a lot of recruitment going on for people who can quickly deliver solutions in these areas for companies. In the past, these were things we would look at and say, how did they do this? Games. How do they develop games? How do they do all these graphics? But now these are things you can now learn on your own and begin to make money doing this for companies that will pay you a whole lot. Think about the best companies you've seen: Flutterwave, Paystack. All of them are based on app development. And if you have more people that can develop these apps, more companies will utilize their skills. Programming in C++ is required, Python programming, Java, and so on. Then other skills are data science, machine learning. These are advanced skills which they may have to be more matured to get into these ones. But the background are the programming skills that I've mentioned earlier. So Internet of Things, embedded systems, robotics, drone technology, industrial automation, 3D design, and 3D printing. These are all relevant skills. So how can they access this? In less than 1 minute, I'll round up. There are many ways they can get this knowledge. They can get this knowledge in their school if the school has a curriculum that is appreciative of these skills, and there are some schools like that. Or as co-curricular activities, if the school has a robotics club, they can be part of and participate in competitions, hackathons that would enhance this knowledge. They can be involved in weekend programs or camps. If you look around, you'll find out that there are some weekend programs in the society for children who have these interests, or camps during the long holidays for them to go and at least use that period productively. Or it could be as a post-secondary qualification. When they finish their SSCE, they go and spend a year or somewhere or something getting this skill, either as a trainee somewhere or an intern or an apprentice. It's not enough to just wait for university direction. If you want to do your apprentice or internship, you can create your own internship platform. Tertiary education in the university is right. And finally, professional development. And later on, it will be great for children to be equipped with problem identification skills, because it's waste of talent if you know all of these things and cannot identify a problem that your skill can be useful in solving. So we must teach our children to identify problems, discuss what the problems are, and let them be creative in their thinking of how to solve these problems. Public speaking skills, we cannot do without this, because you might know everything, you might have the solution in your head, but if you're not able to discuss it to people, nobody's going to recruit you. Finally, our children must enjoy networking. Attend as many camps as possible, make enough friends as you can, because gone are the days of children asking their parents for connections. Children must now be the connection they want to see for themselves. Thank you very much, and I will let the rest of the program continue. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your input. He has said a lot, and everything he has said are points that we need to take note of as leaders, as adults, as parents. He has told us a lot of things. We need our children to know about blockchain. He told us that we need our children to understand blockchain, to be able to create it and be able to understand it. He also told us about the various opportunities in agriculture, the various opportunities in security, UI, UX, software development, games development, the list goes on and on. And I'm very sure that this is just the tip of the iceberg. He has not mentioned everything. Thank you so much, Dr. Olushola, for making this presentation, for coming on to this webinar to enlighten everyone on here. Thank you so much. I am appreciative of this. We need our children to learn skills, programming skills, networking skills, problem identification skills, C++, part of programming, Java, Python. We have a lot of work to do. As parents, we have a lot of work to do. We are not where we should be at all. If we have to compare ourselves and what we are doing to our children, and if we have to compare ourselves to the people in the other world, you would know that we are nowhere to be found. And we have to skill up, we have to level up, we have to help our kids and teenagers and young adults to be able to function effectively in this fast approaching digital age, fast approaching technological age. Without much ado, I would like to invite to the podium Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon. Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon. Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon is the head of partnership at RAIN, at Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria. Is the head partnership and collaboration there. Mr. Nuruddin, you have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Enough. Can you hear me from here?
Yes, I can. If you can hear Mr. Nuruddin, let's see your response. Type in the chat section. I can hear you clearly. So you can go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I think I have 15 minutes. How many minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay,
they can hear you. Yes, they can hear you clearly. Okay.
This program might not know the value you are bringing to parents, especially those who probably didn't go in, probably are not techie, and the value to have to parenting, like Dr. Ella has mentioned. Without wasting our time, I always, when I go for talks, either in schools or even in university, I used to start this way so that people can relate to what I mean. Dr. Ella has talked about STEAM and the inclusion of even heart within STEAM to make it STEM to make it STEAM, so that people will not think that in today's tech world, it's not just about the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics alone. Heart also play a crucial role. And I'm sure a lot of people will be surprised at what role does an heart student want to. And that's why today's tech, you can actually find somebody from heart background also functioning within the tech ecosystem. We'll talk about that later. And when I talk to schools, especially in universities or secondary school or anywhere we're invited to talk, maybe during their tech days or whatever, I used to use the analogy that the current fourth industrial revolution, for those of us who are familiar with it, it has a history. During the first industrial revolution, what powered it? It was coal that powered the first industrial revolution. And that was when coal was used to power all the manufacturing and whatever we have there. So coal was a big thing there. Those who have access to it, they become the influencer, they become very successful and all those stuff. At a point, coal was becoming insufficient to power the manufacturing sector, and then electricity came in. That was in the 19th century. It turned around the trend of everything. Electricity become what people were using to power manufacturing, to power production, and all the rest. That's the second industrial revolution. In the 1950s, computer came in. And it changes everything. In some companies then, you see, we're talking of all these mainframe computer that you only have one probably in a particular company, and you see no access to non-computer department. You see somebody at the desk who will be the one that will be typing, that will be doing this, and it was a big thing then. And when it comes to probably around maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago, you see advertisers saying that the knowledge of computer science is an added advantage. It was a big thing then, about 30 years ago. And what knowledge of computer do you think they were talking about? They are talking of Microsoft Excel, Word, PowerPoint, or probably Access and all the rest. Something that even the primary school pupils today will take for. Then it was a big issue 30, 35 years ago. They believe that it was an added advantage to whoever is looking for jobs in any sector. And here comes the fourth industrial revolution. Like those things I mentioned in the first industrial revolution, which was coal. In the second industrial revolution, it was electricity. In the third industrial revolution, which started around 1950s, it was computer. Up till the late 2000s. But today, the fourth industrial revolution we're witnessing, what are those drivers of the fourth industrial revolution? Those are the drivers Dr. Ayola mentioned when he was talking. Those are the emerging technologies. They target emerging technology because every countries were coming up almost at the same time. And that's why you see that even in UAE, as conservatives as they are about the immigration law, in year 2000, around October, they said anybody with knowledge of AI will be giving maybe gold, gold visa or something. I saw it then. They are not foolish. They know what they are doing because that knowledge is an emerging knowledge. And it has nothing to do with, oh, I studied electrical engineering, I studied computer science, I studied this, I studied that. You have to learn, you have to be deliberate about learning it. So those are the enablers, those are the drivers. Just like coal powered the first industrial revolution, electricity powered the second industrial revolution, and computer powered the third industrial revolution. Those drivers, things that Dr. Ella mentioned, those are the things that are powering and continue to power the fourth industrial revolution. And that is why it is important as parents that while we were brought up, of course, the dream was to finish secondary school in good grades or enter university or polytechnic and graduate. And even some even had the opportunity of being headhunted right from when they were in final year by P&G, by PZ, by Unilever, and all these countries, all these private sectors people, bringing them even right from where they were in final year, allowing them to even have their NYC with them so that other companies will not draw them. But what we have today, it is not enough. A friend who works with one of the global consulting firms, we were discussing some times ago, invited me for a webinar. He's based in Michigan and is a lawyer. Of course, he works in one of the global consulting firms. We were talking. And he said, even in America, that have Ivy League schools, multiple degree, that's the very word, if I could paraphrase it. He said multiple degree holders will struggle in contemporary job markets if they don't have knowledge of emerging technologies. Multiple degree holders. So that means it's not necessarily just about first degree. You might actually have masters, they might have PhD, will struggle within the job market if they are short of emerging skills, if they are short of skills that the fourth industrial revolution needed for them to succeed. And we're already seeing it because I work within the ecosystem where we train, we develop products, and we do consulting services for some companies, even outside the countries. What do we experience? We've experienced pupils that will come from universities and with fantastic results. Yet, when it comes to being hands-on, when it comes to having skills that they can deploy even on their own if they don't want to look for a job, they're lacking it. And of course, they can have first class. So that means that Having first class means that you could, which is a good thing, which will always encourage every child to have. That means it is not enough. You must have some skills alongside as you are building your academic profile. You also must be able to build your skills so that within this emerging technology, you must focus on one and have the skills that will actually assist you in whatever you're doing. I used to tell some of our trainees when they come, yes, they have done well. Some probably after their secondary schools and their parents are enlightening enough, they say, okay, go and learn something, digital skill. Or some who are already in the university, maybe during their COS 6 months, when they're supposed to go to companies and they feel that, oh, I need these skills. Or those who are serving already, or those who are even in early career stages, they feel that, oh, I call myself an engineer, but I doubt if I can think of something I can do with my hand. And that's why it is necessary. Within the first industrial revolution, as parents, we need to introduce our kids to skills. When people talk of skills, it's not only digital skills that we can talk about, but as educated parents, some parents will say, oh, I don't just want my kids to have vocational skills. I want them to be within the realm of digital skills. Of course, there are different skills. They have from vocational skills like plumbing, we have tiling, we have bricklaying, we have fashion designing, we have this and that. But of course, parents will, oh, my kids, I want them to be still within the digital skill. And that's why all those skills Dr. Ayala mentioned, the robotics and automation, artificial intelligence and machine learning, of course, data science is a foundation, cybersecurity, cloud computing, nanotechnology, UI, UX, and those skills, once you go to emerging technology, these are skills that will help a lot, regardless of the discipline they want to go into. Yes, and I think it's important I mention this as well. I mention it most time when I go for talk. The current tech system, it is not compulsory that a child must say that, oh, I want you to be a techie, you must go and study computer science. No, the tech ecosystem, the current tech ecosystem is just more than that. It's more than just saying that I want to go and study computer science. Let them explore what you want to study. They can study medicine, they can study law, they can study biochemistry, they can study chemistry, they can study economics, anything. They can study anything they like. They can study mass comm, international relations, history and everything. But then, as they're studying it, expose them sufficiently to these emerging technologies. Let me tell you this difference. For robotics and automation, of course, you can't study it without having a background in maybe science and all these other areas. But for some other areas, like data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, cybersecurity, and all this stuff, somebody from arts background could actually study it. And we've seen examples and many examples of successful ones who doesn't have a science background. But robotics and automation, of course, must have a science background because there are some foundation that it is believed you must have been sufficiently exposed to in physics, in chemistry, in all this stuff. And that's why somebody from science, non-science background cannot go into robotics and automation. At the secondary school level, they can be exposed to it. But when it comes to operating professionally, they might have some challenges. But all other areas of tech is an open source. You can be the best artificial AI expert, even coming from art background. The only thing is that there are special areas we are not be able to go to. We might not be able to go to those mathematical areas that will need you to develop your algorithm from mathematical theorems and concepts. Those are reserved for those who are probably from mathematics background, statistics background, developing their own algorithm. But for those who are from art background, you can be the best AI expert while making use of libraries, open source libraries that are already there. You don't need to go into, oh, how did they develop this theorem, the Laplace theorem, the Bayes theorems, and all those. So you have a lot of libraries there that they use some of this theorem and they are always, most of them are always online. So that's just the difference between, so somebody from art background could actually relate, could actually be successful in today's tech world. Unlike 20 years ago, where once you mention technology, the first thing that comes to mind is only people within the technology, within the science, within the engineering sector. So what's my advice for parents? My advice is that let them exploit whatever area they want to exploit. But as right from perhaps they can start getting serious with what the digital skills, some of these complex areas, maybe from age 8. Because based on our experience, we've had about 2 summer class session in rain now from age 8 to 16. And we've discovered that the capacity of that age to utilize and deploy some of these skills they learned during the 6 weeks summer is quite enormous, even more than those who are adults who have a lot of things to think about. Young people, when they are exposed to it at early life, regardless of whether they want to become lawyer, whether they want to become doctor, whether they want to become historian, whether they want to become mass communication. That's one area that gets parents confused because they will look at it and say, oh, it's only my daughter who says she wants to become an engineer. Okay, that one is the one that needs it. No, even the one that wants to become a diplomat, the ones that become a lawyer, the ones that want to become one could actually study medicine and not practicing in the area of operation. You could actually be problem solvers in the area of medicine and be a medical doctor. The same way you could actually be a lawyer and not be an advocacy lawyer or somebody who goes to court. You could actually be providing solutions within the legal system. We have a young a lawyer who trained in our place. Yeah, he actually has it up to a master's in law and will have gone for a PhD if he had wanted to. But then he said he wants to operate within the area, still within the area of the legal ecosystem, but providing solutions for the legal ecosystem. The same thing with the medical doctor we have, who is actually a surgeon and is undergoing studies in artificial intelligence. He wants to be able to, at the end of the day, provide solutions to those within the medical fields. Because there's no way some of the solutions today, you will find them within the realm of artificial intelligence, within the realm of nanotechnology. And that's exactly what the two medical personnel we have undergoing training with us wants to do. They might, at the end of the day, distance themselves from actually getting involved in operation, but providing solutions that will make health-related solutions easier and possible for those who are within the field. And that is why I said, regardless of any field they want to go into, expose them to digital technologies, right from coding. And that's why the do's about coding get very pronounced in the last few years. Oh, coding. What exactly do you mean by coding? That is what we call professionally programming. When they are doing coding, they are just doing everything generally, the what it's about, how do they do it. But when they get professionally trained, that is when they know, oh, I'm learning so language so that I can deploy it. Oh, I'm learning Python so that I can deploy it. So I'm learning C++, I'm learning C language, I'm learning R language, I'm learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all these things. They will know that they are learning. They are learning about all those programming language. They are targeting a particular thing. But when they're doing coding, they are trying to get hands-on on how some of these programming, they might not be learning a particular programming language. They might be doing Scratch, they might be doing this. But when they get professionally trained, they know that, this is Python programming I'm learning, this is C++ I'm learning, this is this I'm learning, this is this I'm learning. And by that, whatever field they go into, once you become an expert in a particular domain field, you will not just be learning it, you will be thinking, just like Dr. Olumide said, proven identification. As somebody in the field of medicine, you know what are the challenges medical doctors within the health field we are facing. It will be easier for such person who is now digitally savvy to procure problem, to develop solutions for the medical field. That somebody who's just coming from the field of computer science, you will need to go and sit down with a medical person. And by the time you start with technology jargons, you won't be able to even understand something. But a medical doctor is equally tech savvy. It will be easier to provide solutions. Same with somebody in the field of a lawyer. I want to provide a solution within the legal field. Maybe some of the challenges the lawyers are facing in terms of court system, or in terms of prison system in Nigeria, or in terms of judges delivering judgment. It should be easier for somebody who has a living lawyer to provide such digital solutions to that profession, instead of somebody just coming from the field of computer science and said he wants to provide. The same way with somebody studied biochemistry, physiology, and so when you have a domain knowledge, you are an expert in a domain knowledge. It will be another advantage. When you have a digital skill, you have an edge over somebody just coming from the field of computer science and said you want to provide solutions in the field of medicine, in the field of law, in the field of agri, in this and that. So that is why I always tell parents, no, it is not compulsory they must study computer science to become an expert or to become a leader in tech. The tech ecosystem in the fourth industrial revolution has gone beyond that. And that's one of the key advice I used to give some of them. And so for us as parents, to round up my talk, I don't want to delay us, is important from that age. I always tell parents during summer, why do you still allow students to still go back to school, start learning X plus Y, X plus Z, this and that? Why not throw them at that time whatever skills you want them to learn? Why not use those 2 months or whatever, or 1.5 months summer school to expose them to digital skills, so that at the end of the day, before they even finish whatever they are doing, they are sufficiently knowledgeable and skillful in whatever they want to do and whatever field they want to explore. Let them explore it. Don't force them to go and join computer science, because by the time they are sufficiently exposed to either robotics or artificial intelligence, which are core foundation. Of course, after artificial intelligence, some of them can decide to go into cybersecurity, cloud computing, and all the rest. They are knowledgeable enough to know what I want to do. You won't even be the one that will be advising them, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do this? Or why do you want to do this? They will choose on their own, because it will be more like a passion for them. And at the end of the day, they will not just be somebody who graduated who is a graduate of maybe law, or a graduate of medicine, or a graduate of economics, or a graduate of history. They will be a digitally savvy person who is ready to provide solutions to that discipline ahead of their peers who study the same discipline or the same course. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon. Your session was really exploratory and exclusive. Thank you so much. I am sure that every participant at this webinar has taken one thing or the other and have decided on their course of action in helping their kids become experts, in helping their kids develop in the right way. Mr. Adeshokon has advised us to help our kids to explore, help your kids explore, help them to explore various technological aspects, help them explore various arts, whatever it is that they want to do. There is the technology side of it. He also made us to understand that there is a saying that multiple degree holders will struggle within the job market if they don't have the skills that is required for them. The contemporary world requires everybody who is coming in to have skills, hands-on skills. Hands-on skills is very important. It is not enough for your children to have the knowledge to be gurus or to be brilliant. Brilliancy is not enough in the world to come. In fact, in this world that we are in now, that you are brilliant does not matter. It is what you are able to do. What skill are you impacting in your child? So, without much ado, I have a little bit of issue. I would like to introduce to us. Okay, let me share my screen first to appreciate Dr. Ayola and also Mr. Nuruddin Adeshokon. Dr. Ayola is the founder of Brain. Dr. Ayola is the founder of Brain, and Mr. Nuruddin is the head of partnership at RAIN. What is RAIN all about? RAIN refers to Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria. It was founded in 2019 and they focus on training, research, product development in the area of robotics, automation, and artificial intelligence. The RAIN is a consultant to blue chip firms in different sectors of the economy. They have developed smart products for government parastatals. They have trained youth through projects and master classes to become experts within months. And just last December, the UN Deputy Secretary General, Hajia Amina Mohammed, visited the facility to assure RAIN of the support from United Nations. And also, let me let you in on a very privileged information. Come summer, during the long vacation, Robotics would be partnering with Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Nigeria RAIN to come up with a very robust summer training for our children. So if you would like to be to let your kids participate in that training, then take note of that information and you can get back to me after this webinar. So that is just a privileged information for everyone at this webinar. So let's go back to the webinar, and we have our panelists on ground to let us into the way we can help our children start young. We can help our children start young. Let me introduce to you Mr. Samuel Ofueze. Mr. Samuel is a robotics and AI developer. He is the team coach and team lead at United Scientific and Creative Operations. So he's a designer of embedded systems, and they also provide hands-on coaching with the aim of creating Africa's young innovators. So Mr. Samuel, you have the floor. I don't know if, are you here, Mr. Samuel? Kindly unmute yourself. You have the floor, please.
Hello.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Robotics, for the opportunity. Okay, so thank you, our previous speakers, Dr. Nuruddin Adesokan and founder of RAIN. It's been amazing learning from you. It's been amazing hearing from you. It's really, really been amazing. Thank you very much for the information you shared. So I will be talking briefly on how to get our young ones introduced into robotics and STEM, how they can get started much more on time, looking at the opportunity for young individuals. So first of all, I'll be borrowing a lot from what our earlier speakers have said. One of the key notes that was said was about robotics. Robotics and STEM is not just for those in the science field alone. It's now something that is universal. It's not something that everyone needs. Okay. Now I've seen this thing being applied in a whole lot of fields, in the fashion industry, in the agriculture industry. It's really been amazing how people have come to do with artificial intelligence. We've seen AI write music. We've seen AI do amazing things. We've seen AI create art. We've seen AI do a whole lot of things, and these are really amazing. Okay. Just in Nigeria, there's a Nigerian startup that embedded artificial intelligence into fashion. So what they do is, rather than you going to a tailor to take your measurement and maybe pick a design or something of sort, they designed a platform where you pick the style you want. You just send your designs over to the fashion designers. There are a whole lot of tailors on the platform you select. Then for you to take your measurement, you just take your phone and do a 360 degree scan of yourself. And with it, their platform is equipped with amazing artificial intelligence that brings your exact measurement, brings it out very accurate, around 90% accuracy measurement. So no need of transporting to your fashion personnel to take your measurement and a whole lot of that. And this is really amazing. This is technology in fashion. Now, we've seen this in food industry, in a whole lot of automation. It's really amazing. So going into why we need to introduce our kids early to this is an article from TechCrunch stated that 60% of Nigerian jobs are at risk of automation. 60% of Nigerian jobs are at risk of automation in the next few years. Now, as threatening as it would be, and scary as it is, it's no news that a lot of jobs will be defaced. And let me start with this. Few years ago, before the invention of cars, there were people who made use of horses. There were people who made use of horses. We had horse riders and a whole lot of that. And when cars were coming into the stage, there were a lot of debates. Hey, cars are going to be taking away jobs. People who ride horses, the horses, and you and I will agree that the horses have lost their jobs. It's not because they were not fast enough. It's not because they were not tall enough. They just had to lose their jobs because there was a shift. Technology made room for something much better. But amidst that, there have been more opportunities being created by cars. We have taxis, we have a whole lot of opportunities that have been provided by the movement from horses into cars. And so also, as much as there will be a lot of job loss as sort of robotics, artificial intelligence, and technology, there will also be the opening of many more opportunities that we've not even yet seen. Now, it's stated that robotics and artificial intelligence would create far more jobs than those that it would replace. Okay, so it's very vital. It's very vital for our kids to get started. Now, I was in a personal research and I discovered that many persons who created amazing technology, like the founder of Android, which Google bought, and a whole lot of companies, everyone listening to this video either uses an Android or an iOS device. Now, the founder of Android had a foundation in robotics. Down to a whole lot of founders, they've always had passion for robotics. Many of them started robotics and actually robotics per se. Now, why robotics? Is because it's one of our doctors said, the founder of Ray made mention of something about problem solving. It's more than writing codes. One of the fascinating thing about your kids, exposing your kids to technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, and a whole lot more fields that are available, it's not just the writing of codes, but it's the process, it's the way of life, the way to systematically look at a problem and create solutions step by step by step. That is the whole essence of programming. That is why most times we tell you it's not about the language you learn, because we're solving a problem. Now, kids who are exposed to robotics on time are better problem solvers. Now, let's take it to any field. We have robotics being applied wonderfully well in medicine. There's Dr. Watson, which is artificial intelligence equipped robot that has been doing amazing things in diagnosing serious dermatological issues. We have very numerous of them. We've had robotics that are helping amputated people who were previously been amputated. They've lost their arm because of an accident, an operation, lost a foot or something. Now, with the help of robotics, they can live these lives normally again. So now, and these things were developed by persons. As a matter of fact, it's no news that if you check every single wonderful tech founder we have right now, every single multi-billion-dollar industry that is being run by tech, from Facebook to Elon of SpaceX, Tesla, to Google, to many more, to Snapchat, to Android. Many of these persons, if you look at their story, if you listen to them, they will tell you they attribute their success to the fact that they were being exposed early, much early to robotics, to computers. Let me start using the word robotics. They were exposed much early to computers. In fact, the father of Elon was mentioning he had premium access to computers when he just came into South Africa. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates had early access to computers and programming, much earlier than many other persons. So when we expose our kids, so it's no news that kids who are exposed to robotics, STEM in particular, at a much earlier age, tend to solve better problems. And it's no news that they tend to create a lot of amazing solutions. Now, I'm not saying that those who are not exposed don't solve problems, no. But we are saying STEM, it's a way of getting these kids better equipped for the future. Okay, because we've seen STEM in a whole lot of fields. Now, we spoke about we've seen STEM in agriculture, as our doctor earlier said, using when Nigeria is already working with IoT in our agricultural lands in Nigeria. We've seen STEM in neuroscience. there's a company known as Backyard Brain, not yet in Nigeria. What they do is they bring neurology into the classroom. So the idea is one of the major diseases that affects humans is neurological disorder. We have Alzheimer's, we have a whole lot of these disorders, and this is one of the major things that affect humans. Now, for you to be a neurologist or start working on the brain, you have to go through a whole lot of process. In fact, you start assessing these machines from higher level. Now, what these persons have done is, okay, a request to start my video. Okay. So now what Backyard Brain did was they minimized most of these machines for students and kids to start working with these things at a much earlier age. Now, for your kids to get started in STEM, basically, I like what Dr. Nuruddin said, and our founder of RAIN, where they mentioned that you have to start attending. You should expose your kids to tech conferences, to tech meetups, to a whole lot of these robotics training. In fact, Dr. Nuruddin said something in particular that the kids are always learning about the Y, the X, the same regular subjects, and it's time for long vacation. You are sending them to learn the same thing. It's high time they get to learn much more practical skill that will help them be more relevant in the future. Now, in support of what our speakers have earlier said, even in the law firm, now one of the things we know lawyers for is litigations, but that they don't just do litigations. They go through a lot of records. They go through auditing, and we have artificial intelligence equipped softwares that now help them to do those tasks. So we've seen people create AI in different fields. People create artificial intelligence, robotics, all because they had a very good fundamental STEM knowledge and they started early. Now, another thing is this: your kid is not too small. Your child is not too small to get started. Now, at our school, yes, we do run an academy. We train students, yes. But something fascinating happened last year from I think that should be October last year. A particular school called up to us, and yes, we only take secondary schools because we have a program where we embed into the curriculum. And we only take secondary school, but the lady was very insistent that they were having just primary and they wanted us to work with them. So we took it up as a challenge, and I was so amazed. I was so amazed at how much these kids could grab about robotics and STEM. In fact, I did a video about one of them, and when the teacher told me he was 4 years old, and he could say what robots are, he could list the parts of the robot, the actuators, the brain of the robot is a microcontroller. Now, it's fascinating. Now, I kept asking myself the question is, if at the age of 4, this boy knows this much about STEM, about robotics, what would he build when he's 10? Or how much more when he's 15? Hello? Hello?
We can
Hello,
hear
can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So it was fascinating. Like at the age of 4, Otto could tell me what robots are, a whole lot of these. And I was like, wow, what will you be able to do at the age of 15? In fact, in a higher institution, what will be able to do? So kids are not too small to start learning about STEM. And they don't have to be science professionals either. We've seen kids in primary school, in junior secondary, already working with robotics, already working with STEM, applying. I was following the Google Scholars, there's this award that Google runs. And I could see a 15-year-old here who built a torchlight that doesn't use solar or anything, but use the heat for work. And she sent to Philippines, where we're having serious problem with electricity, so that kids who are growing up in rural areas could read by harnessing electricity from their palm. Okay, I just got notified I was breaking. Is it much better now, please? Hello? Is it much better now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, so we've seen amazing solutions being created. Another boy from, I think that should be California, if I'm not mistaken, he designed a device that could allow the deaf to enjoy music. Now there's this process, I'm trying to remember the name, that has to do with vibration of bones and transferring vibration to bones. That he was able to create a system that allowed people who were deaf to enjoy music. These are kids barely in high school. Another young boy developed a platform that allowed people who are in emergency service, be it fire alarm, ambulance, to send alarm to other road users. That, okay, there's an emergency, so they could better create to reduce traffic and a whole lot of that, so they could save a life or go about their emergency duty. These are solutions created by kids not yet in higher institution. It's amazing. So I see no reason why in Nigeria we should be lagging behind. One of the fear people have is they see STEM as a distraction to their kids. They see robotics that he will be spending too much time with the computer. He will be spending too much time on robotics. He will be spending too much time on. He will lose focus on his books. It's great, will drop. But what we fail to understand is STEM helps you understand your general sciences better. Okay, I had an experience. We've had several experience with students, especially graduates who take training. And when we're running training, one of them in particular would keep shouting, let me use the Nigerian word, okay, yes, I've seen this before. So he was always doing it during the class, and I had to stop and asked him, what's going on? He said, during his project work, he was always writing all these things, analog pins, digital pins. He was talking about digital signals. He was writing about microcontroller, but he never knew what they were. He was just feeling it in his project because someone did it for him, obviously. And he was excited that he was getting to see what he had done in his project. His whole project work was to build a weather station, and he didn't do it himself. But taking the class, the very sensors he used was what he participated. He didn't use for his defense, for his project. Someone had to do it for him, was what he had to use himself, and he learned it himself. So we've seen over time, and my previous speakers would confirm that allowing your kids get exposed to STEM gives them a better understanding of their sciences, better understanding, and makes them perform better in school. In fact, they become more participatory. Another example is in physics let me avoid going too technical. But in robotics and in STEM, we have a lot of sensors. These sensors are reflections of human ability. In fact, there's something known as biomimetics. What is biomimetics? Biomimetics is essentially mimicking biological things. Now, why am I saying all of this? Is to tell you that exposing our kids early to tech, it's going to be it's not something that it would be at a loss. It's something that you would gain at the long run, because we've seen technology take over every industry, from the hospitality industry. In fact, we have the Flyzoo Hotel in China, where they have about 20% of the staffs are humans. The rest of them are robots. Flyzoo Hotel, which is owned by Alibaba. We've seen robotics take over. In fact, we've seen smart city surveillance in countries like Singapore, also in China, yes, where they use robots and artificial intelligence to police the environment. Now, exposing your kids to this opportunity helps them solve better problems, no doubt. That has been stated over and over again. Secondly, it allows them to create solutions for the environment. This is something I've been trying to hit on. It allows them to create solutions. Now, Nigeria, one of the things we need to understand is Nigeria brings in a lot of technology. We absorb, we take in. But now, what we need now is we need technology that are more tailored to us. We need solutions that are more tailored to our needs. And you don't expect a developer who has never suffered from the peculiarities of being a Nigerian. Okay, and you don't expect someone from China or from US who has never explored what it is to be in Nigeria to build solutions for Nigerians. No, we need people who have experienced the country, had certain setbacks in it, to build solutions for the country. As a matter of fact, I put it to every parent out there that we need your kids to go into STEM to make Nigeria better. in every single sector, even in our electoral processes, which is where we appoint leaders. Artificial intelligence can play a whole lot of role in our educational system. Artificial intelligence in agriculture, food production. We need people who are better equipped with STEM in every single fair, in every single fair, in every single fair. Okay, now hello, am I still audible? Okay, yes, yes. Okay, so still on it, on opportunities for young individuals. Another thing we get to see is as we stated earlier, where the opportunities are so much numerous. How do they get started? Even in schools, we have schools who are already adopting curriculum of STEM. We have schools who are already joining into STEM. Now, but peradventure your ward attends a school that doesn't do that, there are weekend classes, as earlier said. There are online classes where you can enroll your kids to STEM. Now, another beautiful thing about your kids getting into STEM, which Ms. Habiba stated, one of the problems is we have younger ones much more exposed to social violence, online, porn, and a whole lot of that. One of the beautiful things is, and this is one of the reasons why I need to engage them with STEM, because by the time they are engaged with STEM, coding, in fact, coding and a whole lot more, there would be almost no time for them to start wandering off. So where do we start from? Where do we start from? First thing first is the kids have to get into coding classes. We like what Robotics is doing. Robotics is a nice platform that coach students. We have OSCO, we have RAIN. Now this long vacation is coming up, so you can sign up your kids to these. Now, if you can't wait for that, which I don't even say you wait for, it's something you do and miss it. We have robotics kits out there and robotics programs that you could purchase, and they have guidelines that help you as a parent to introduce your kids to robotics. Okay, now at Robotics, they have their own robotics kit. At OSCO there is, and RAIN has their own platform too, and a whole lot more. We have Lego and many more. We have a Lego and many more kits. So another thing you could do is you could purchase some of these robotics kits, help you as a parent interact with your child when it comes to STEM, and give them so I've stated two things: enroll them in programs. We have getting robotics kit for them so you could guide them personally. We have online platforms. We have different online STEM programs. We have weekend classes, and these are lots of opportunities where you could use to get your kids started in STEM.
Okay, are you done?
Yeah, I'm seeing a question coming up. I'm trying to read up the question. Sorry, send up the last question that said, how can you introduce your kids to robotics, please? I want to be sure I got it right.
Okay, we are still going to take a little bit question and answer. You can just run through your discussion, then we'll take question and answer later.
Okay, I'll wrap up with this. I'll wrap up with this. Is one of the beautiful things about getting your kids into STEM is, and one of the reasons why they have to start now through all of these platforms we've stated, the online platforms, the getting of robotics kids that guide them through, the summer camps and different boot camps that they could engage in, learning programming languages like C++ and Python, with much more available. They go from just tinkering to coding the AI of the future. They go from just tinkering, from just those toys, you call it, they're building small devices to building the AI of the future. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this session you've had with us. Thank you for coming on board to enlighten our parents. Mr. Samuel made us understand that you should help your kids through the process of solving problems. It is not just having them do things, help them through the process. The process is as important as the result itself. And he also made us know that your kids are not too small. Don't say because your child is a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old and you shouldn't expose him to things he should know. Your 4-year-old might even be more exposed than you. So expose them in the right direction and they would do wonderfully well. So our time is fast spent, but we still have Miss Aminat Ajose. Miss Aminat Ajose is also one of the panelists who would be taking us through how our children can start young. Miss Aminat Ajose is a STEM consultant and she is a STEM consultant with the science crew. Miss Aminat Ajose, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Abiba. Thank you, Dr. Olushola, Mr. Nuruddin, and Mr. Samuel. So yes, I'll be going straight to how parents can help their children. Like I've seen in the comment section, we have asked questions, how can we help our children? We already understand the relevance from everything that we have heard from the my co-discussants, how STEM education helps your child to access better future careers. Yes, so some of the importance, like we already know, of introducing your children to STEM early is that it helps them to develop early interest in STEM. It also helps them to like gain fluency at a younger age. Then it helps them to explore their environment, and at the same time, it prepares them for the future. So how do you as a parent, how do you start? So for we at Science Crew Educational Consult, we work with quite a range of schools, and most of the schools that we work with are primary schools. We work with a few secondary schools. Now, a lot of these schools, they reach out to us and tell us, we want you to come and take STEM in our schools. Yes, there is a high like propaganda around STEM seemingly looking like technology and only robotics. And people are taking away the science, the engineering, the mathematics aspects. So you see, all of these children, you see in lots of schools. I'm talking about most schools now. I don't want to talk about minority. So in a lot of schools in Nigeria that we have, schools that are paying school fees of between, let's say, 50,000 naira and below, a lot of their children, they do not even know how to use a computer. Like they are asking you to come and teach their students STEM. They're asking to come, and when they come, they'll tell you, is it robotics you're coming to teach them? And this is a child that cannot even use the mouse. This is a child that they only teach computer on the board in their classroom. So we need to like understand that our young children of 4, 5, 7, 8 years old, if they are not going through the curriculum realistically, then we are only like jumping steps. So what we do, we enlighten these schools that, please, you guys, you have to take it a step at a time. There are curriculums that you follow, and we are STEM certified. We follow curriculums, and then we understand the fact that a child has to learn the basics. So for parents, especially those of us that we have children between the ages of 3 to 10 years old, in your children's school, the first thing is to encourage them to make use of the computers. A lot of ICT rooms are being locked. They only teach them input devices on the board. So let them start from that. Let your child learn how to use Microsoft Word. Let them learn how to use Paint. Let them learn how to do all of these things. Then yes, they graduate into learning programming languages. Now, secondly, I would mention the fact that STEM is an interdisciplinary approach to learning, and it is not focusing on just one aspect. So we are looking at the sciences, the technology, engineering, and math. Let your children be exposed to sciences. When they are exposed to their environment, when they are exposed to carrying out experiments, it helps them better when they start to like experiment with things like embedded systems. So yes, for children 4, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, let them carry out hands-on experiments. Let them carry out hands-on experiments. Thirdly, in helping your children to start STEM at an early age, as a parent, aside from the fact that you need to be engaged with your student school, when you have PTA meetings, discuss these things with them. You as a parent yourself can buy educational robotics kits. There are robotics kits for young children. According to the UK, their coding curriculum, they have the Ministry of England, their coding curriculum for children. They use B-bot robots. B-bot is a very small robot, but it has its lesson plan that children from age 4 years old can learn key computational thinking skills using these robots. You can purchase these robots for your child. We have Botley robots by Learning Resources. These are robotic kits for age 5 to 10. They teach them what the skills that these children would also be needing when they get to 10, 11, 12, high school, university. But then they teach them in a way that is easy. Don't forget that your 5-year-old child cannot sit for WAEC after a year in primary school. Your 5-year-old child cannot jump to start working on algebra. So I want you to understand that it is a process, and it is a long process. It's a long process, and you have to take it step by step. So, and buy your children appropriate educational kits. Like I've mentioned, we have B-bot robots, we have dash and dot robot that you can use for younger children. And yes, when your child has now learned a lot of debugging skills, they've learned a lot of looping and quite a lot of these things with these educational robotics kits, following curriculum that I've stated already. They can now start going into like, oh yes, we use M-bot robot for children that are ages 8+. But you see, this M-bot robot needs a child that is already that is able to like, can code a bit with the little robotics kit as well. So even some children, they are 8 years old, but they can't even do simple tasks with the M-bot robots. So an M-bot, according to the manufacturer, is for ages 8+. And don't forget that I'm talking about a majority of Nigerian children. In their schools, they don't use computers. So we tell them, start with hands-on computer, let your children know how to use the laptop. So yes, let them progress. Let them progress from simple to complex. And please, I want you to understand that you need to be patient. I tell a lot of people they need to be patient. In some schools, we start to take them just a single time and they want their children to become the next Mark Zuckerberg. How is that possible? So please, you need to know that you have to be patient as a parent. Yes, so how do you help your child? You as a parent, you don't need to be a STEM expert to help your child. All of these things, like I've mentioned, we have curriculums that we follow as STEM. We have STEM certifications from US and UK. And so we have gone through different STEM curriculum for grade K to 12, that is from primary school to SS3 class. And then you will see in the UK standard that if you are following their textbooks, we have textbooks that we use that are British textbooks. There are ways that your children will get to learn HTML when they get to JSS1. When you use your ClickStart textbook, you can purchase them in British curriculum bookshops. In the ClickStart textbook, you come across, there's a particular place that they'll still go, they'll learn HTML. In their textbook for IGCSE, they will learn Python, and they learn all of the basic skills that we want them to learn following these textbooks. Now, you want your child to like have access to quality materials like these textbooks that I've mentioned. You can also, as a parent, so far, okay, yes, you are learned. You're also a graduate. You can learn these things. They are not so difficult for you as a parent. So I will be encouraging you as a parent to learn with your child. So learn with your child. Buy some of these textbooks. You can buy ClickStart. You can buy ICT Starters level 1 to level 5. It's for children between the ages of 5 to 12, or from 5 to 14 by Cambridge Press. You can get these textbooks. You learn with your child. They are very simple concepts. Then you put your child through. That's the way you can help your child. You can also help your child by finding a mentor, getting a mentor for your child. You can get a mentor for your child. Probably you want your child to be like Mark Zuckerberg. You might want your child to like go through their profile. You might, or people like Thelsa. We even have Nigerians that are now tech savvy now, that they are doing quite a lot of fantastic things. Just yesterday, I read on the internet about a 16-year-old boy that learned to code, and now he's working with a company in Italy. He just flew out of the country and he's 16 years old. So this child has actually learned something very tangible, like Dr. Olushola mentioned. You don't want to jump from one aspect to the other. That's one problem that people have with STEM. They are not patient. So you want your child to learn this and your child to learn that. So but this particular boy has already become an expert in a particular aspect of technology, maybe UI, UX, or is a guru in front-end development or the like. So yes, help your child, let them find a mentor that they want to like follow, so that they are not going from one, today I want to become a backend developer, tomorrow I want to become a cloud engineer. No, it does not work like that. Let the child find a mentor that, oh, this is who I want, this is who I want to like follow. Yes, another thing is that you should sign them up for camps. Like all of the speakers have mentioned that you have to sign your children up for camps. But there's something I want to talk about in camps. A lot of camps can be quite expensive for parents. A lot of camps, there is a particular camp that is ongoing. That camp is for 3 years old to 12 years old. And children between ages 3 to 6 or so, they have to pay 45,000 naira per week. A lot of Nigerians, to be sincere, cannot afford this. So a lot of these STEM camps, they are very costly. You see 100K, you see 50K, and it's for a week. And you'll be like, is your child going to become an expert in that 1 week? But then a lot of online classes, and they are so exorbitant. So yes, when you're signing up if you cannot afford to sign your children up for very expensive STEM camp, because I want you to understand that STEM should be for everybody. We do not want to leave any child behind. So we don't want some people feeling that, I cannot afford it. Does that mean my child cannot do it? So yes, understand the fact that we have a lot of free resources online. You can go to code.org. When you follow code.org as a website, it teaches you coding from 3 years old to 16 years old, and even above 16. They have programs for children that's already in high school. But then when you look at their curriculum, you can try it out today. Look at their curriculum for 3-4 years old. You see that they started from drag and drop. Your child is going to be dragging a puzzle, and it looks like, oh, he's so babyish. But let that child just do that. The child has what he's going to do when it gets to 5 years old. So your child you as a parent, just know you are going to invest in data. And data is life now. So buy data and allow your child, every Saturday, you are going to do a program. You are going to do something on code.org. You can learn Scratch programming. It's also free. You have free resources online. You have free resources on Code Academy. You have free resources on Khan Academy, that you as a parent just need to like find time to go through these things. If you do not have the money to help your child, especially when they are still young. But now when your child starts getting to like JSS1, you can start introducing that child to camps. Get know that you are investing in your child. So find a way to get the money, enroll them to camps. And when you are enrolling them to camps also, try to be realistic. Can I continue with this thing? You see that from Dr. Olushola's speech at what they do at RAIN, it is not just like a short-term program. Their students are learning and they are graduating to be able to use that skill to do something. So ensure that, okay, what I'm investing in, is it going to be continuous, or is it that my child is going to learn it for just, I've had somebody told me that our child attended a 2 months, an 8 days class somewhere at Yaba, and they paid 70,000 naira, and the child did not learn anything. Now, is that the end? Obviously, they cannot continue paying 35K for every Saturday. So I was just like, you see, what you can do is you can continue on a platform, and then they start learning on Kodu free. And now this boy got an award from Kodu themselves. And I was the one that exposed her to the fact that if you cannot afford this 35K per month every Saturday, that's about 10K per Saturday. And your child has attended 2 months, did not really learn anything significant, because this was a child of 5 years old. And they are having these meetings for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So if you cannot really afford this, it's something you can also achieve in your house. Good. Yes. Then you can also help your children. I've mentioned that you can learn with them. You can help them by downloading some applications. So there are some applications that they learn coding with. We have Scratch, for instance, Kodu. You even see tutorial in some of them. You can go through this tutorial. And then for we that already have teenagers as our children, please, I beg you, if your child is showing interest in technology, the best thing is to enroll that child in a serious coding center. A lot of people reach out to me that, oh, can we teach their children? I've said, no, what we take for now, we teach children curricula, right? When we get for students that we take from JSS1, we teach them with Arduino programming. We teach them Arduino programming. We have the Arduino curriculum that we are also following. When you check online, there is what we call Arduino education. They have student kits. They have kits for ages 11 to 14. So we try our best to follow all of these things so that we are taking these children or these students. We don't want them to miss key points that they need to learn. Then when they get to SS3, when they are graduating, we can tell them, oh, you can now go to New Horizon somewhere in Ikeja, HIT in Ikeja. I even like introduce children to go to these places. And I have a boy that has gone to one of them. He's currently just got admission to last week. When the mother reached out to me, I told her, let your child just go to HIT somewhere in Ikeja. Then he went there and she told me she was very happy because this boy has already learned a lot. That he has even gotten the certificate of a front-end web developer. So that they just paid for him to learn back-end. So that is like the way to go. So by that time, when your child is already 15, 16, and that child has have the real basics from their younger age, allow your child to learn something that they can use to get a standard job as a web developer. They can get that job at 15, at 16. But if you keep going from one place to the other, or you are not being patient, or you want your 5 years old to achieve something that may not be realistic, because you want to consider your own environment as well. There are some children that are attending very influential schools. You don't want, and okay, my child has not had that opportunity. So they are not the same. They are not equal. So you want to be realistic. Let me first some parents, what you need to do is to first buy a laptop in your house. Buy a laptop, know that, okay, let my child even have access to a laptop. So do all of these things and be realistic. And as we've mentioned, help your children to focus on something more productive. Let them reduce their time on the TV watching movies. They can use that time to code on their system with free resources if you cannot really afford very expensive ones. Then talk to your children's schools, encourage them. There are a lot of STEM companies outside today now. Let them get one to help them. A lot of schools want their teachers to do it, and their teachers cannot do it because their teachers are overwhelmed with work already. So let them talk to these people, let them partner with them to work with their schools. And then they should stop let them stop. You as parents, when you come up with it in PTA, they will stop saying we want to maximize money. A lot of schools want to maximize profits. So they don't want to bring in external people to take their students. But to be honest with you, that is the only way they can achieve success if they want to achieve STEM success. Let them partner with people. Let them take their children out for excursions that are worthwhile. It's not every time they should be going to amusement park in the school. Let them go to places that would inspire their children. Let them take them out to Microsoft Nigeria. It's not all the time you're taking your children to amusement park or beach or museums. So let them take them to strategic places. Let them speak with mentors. Then if you have in your parents, you as parents, or you can tell your students, your school teachers also, let them invite STEM professionals to talk to these students. So they can invite STEM professionals to talk to the students. So I think, yes, these are a few ways that I feel parents can help their children start from a very young age. Thank you, Ms. Abiba.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was as practical as it can ever be. She has made us know that we have a long way to go as parents. We have our schools in Nigeria, oh my God. We have a very, 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 very long way to go. I just pray that we are able to, take all the things that we've learned here into practice. Thank you so much, Ms. Amina. Thank you for for giving us practical ways by which we can help our kids to learn. In addition to what she has said, I would like to quickly remind us about some of the ways that Dr. Olushola also told us on how we can help our kids. Apart from the school system, we should help our kids to participate in co-curricular activities. They are very key. It is not only going to school, reading your book, passing exams. For me, exams in our school is not it does not test our ability. For me, it's a personal decision. It's a personal thinking anyway. It is what you're able to do. Let your kids go through co-curricular activities. Let them get exposed to hackathons, camps, summer camps that are beneficial, that will teach them what they need to know during the long holidays. Ms. Amina also made mention of it. It is not just for your kids to stay glued to the TV, watching movies and all. Let them channel their desire for the screen to ways that can be used to positive things. Let them learn coding, let them learn about STEM, let them learn things that will be beneficial for them. Our speakers have said it all. Our speakers have exposed us to a whole lot of things. Robotics Enterprise is a famous enterprise that helps kids to get exposure to STEM. We also engage in sales of robotic kits, sales of toys, you know, robotic kits that will help your kids to get exposed, to get introduced to STEM. We have partnered with a lot of STEM companies like Engino. Engino, they make building blocks where your child tries to make building blocks and also program them. We have solutions for schools. We have solutions for kids. We have solutions for teenagers. We have all STEM and robotic kits. We have kits that will teach your children STEM, that will teach them Scratch, starting from scratch, teach them Python while they are at the comfort of their homes. So Robotics Enterprise has that. The science crew is a consultant for schools. So she goes to schools, she teaches kids, she organizes STEM clubs for students in the schools, and they have a whole lot of programs like that. Mr. Samuel Ufueze also is the team lead of a robotics club, United Scientific, okay, I can't remember the name. Mr. Samuel, can you please assist me on that? United, I'm trying to remember the name of your, Mr. Samuel, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, United Scientific.
Unified.
Oh, sorry. Unified.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So Rain also. Yes, thank you. Rain also helps kids. Rain has a summer coaching program that is going to come up in August, but on the norm, they help young adults to go through hands-on robotics training as well. So we have a whole lot of solutions for you. It is for us as parents and for us as schools to key into these solutions and make use of them. We've come a long way, and I hope that every one of us who have participated in this webinar have learned one thing or the other. I am very, very, very grateful. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for staying till this moment. I hope it was worth it for you. Thank you. I want to use this moment to appreciate all our panelists, starting from Dr. Olushola, Mr. Nuruddin, Ms. Aminat, Mr. Samuel, and everyone that has stayed with us, that has supported this project. Our focus at Robotics is to help all children, all teenagers, all young adults to get introduced in the right way to STEM and robotics. We want your kids to upskill. We want them to skill up. We want them to become future leaders that we can always look up to and we can always be proud of when the time comes. So this is where we are going to, okay, before we go, I don't know if there's any other question that we've not answered. Okay, somebody asked if there is soft copy for this webinar. We are going to try as much as possible to send the recorded version of this webinar to everyone that registered. It would be up for about 24 hours or so. If we are I'll try as much as possible to send it to everyone that registered so that I can just go through it and take your lessons again. Also, so robotics included in the Nigerian curriculum? To the best of my ability, well, it is just starting. We hope that as time goes on, it would get included. But be that as it may, we as parents need to do what we need to do and help our kids to function effectively. This is where we are going to draw the curtain. Thank you all for staying till the end. I appreciate you. Thank you. And I hope that you use whatever you have learned at this webinar for your kids, for your teenagers, for your younger ones, and for yourselves as well. Thank you all for coming. And this is the place where we draw the curtain. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening. Bye. Thank you.